Hello, and thank you for being willing to volunteer to help clean up some of the Their Story oral history transcriptions. Their Story, just to start out with, is a web-based platform that allows for taking oral history interviews as well as transcribing oral history interviews. So you can see basically the transcription and indexing portion of Their Story here. So what is a transcript? You can see the transcription of this particular oral history interview here of Maisie Mae Dixon Boyd. And it shows essentially, it is the text version of the audio file that was created when Miss Boyd was interviewed for this particular oral history interview. And, why are oral histories important? Just very quickly, oral histories are a great way for generating, preserving, or original, historically interesting information, which comes from a primary source. And this person, the primary source is a person, kind of recollecting through this planned recording their past, their experiences of a particular time and place. So as mentioned, the transcription here is essentially a word-for-word written interpretation of the oral history interview. And the purpose of the transcription is to enhance the accessibility of the recorded interview. So essentially, it basically makes it easier for researchers to find and assess these types of primary sources. So when you're going through the oral history interview, when you're going through the transcription of that, you're just essentially, the main purpose is to really clean up the transcription, because the transcription isn't perfect. We wish it was, but it has, it does have certain errors in it when it's going from audio to text, the text file. So we're happy to have volunteers such as yourself taking the time to go through and just make sure that all of the sentences are correct, the punctuation is correct, the grammar is correct, and that we're attributing what is said to the correct speaker throughout the transcription. So for instance, here, we can see at this point in the transcription log, you can only see at this point each person listed as generically speaker one, speaker two. And quite simply, you can just go into that and then change speaker one and speaker two to the name of the person. So speaker one for this first sentence right here, I'm interviewing Miss Maisie Dixon Boyd, is Bernice Jones Campbell. So you can actually just put Campbell. And then if you want to replace all of speaker one with the name Campbell, you can just click this box here and it will replace them all. So now they're all Campbell. And the same thing with speaker two. So we want that speaker two to be Maisie Mae Dixon Boyd. So you'll just go in and write Boyd and hit replace all occurrences and rename. And you want to be careful with this because it's not completely intuitive. So you want to just make sure that each timestamp, each piece of text is actually lining up with the right person who's saying it. So just keep an eye on that. Here you can see something that's really important in the transcription is the timestamp of when something is said. The timestamp really helps researchers by listing when a conversation happens in the oral history transcription. So for instance, you have, Campbell at 26 seconds asking when Boyd arrived to the Baskin Ridgecrest area. And she said in she's essentially asking, you arrived in the Baskin Ridgecrest area in 1924, and so how old were you then? And when were you born? So here at 33 seconds, Boyd answers in 1922. So she was born in 1922. At 36, Campbell asks, okay, what month? And at 37, Boyd responds, October 25th. So these timestamps really are very helpful for kind of, again, recalling information, particular information in the transcription. So if this panel right here is the transcript where you're cleaning up the text and making sure the timestamps are correct and making sure that the interview and interviewer and interviewee names are correct, this panel over here is the index. And the index is essentially a standardized means by which you can categorize information to better keep track of, for instance, overarching themes within the transcription. For instance, using a chapter is a great way to organize information throughout the transcript. The timestamp aids research by listing when a theme occurs in the oral history transcription, and those often become those chapters. And the chapters are really added, or they're created by adding a time code on its own line. So it goes from the time code above it until the time code or until the end of the media. And that is basically creates a synopsis, which summarizes what a segment is about. So for instance, you might want to say, I'm going to create a chapter. I'm going to click right here on 4 seconds. And this portion is basically Bernice Campbell Jones asking Maisie Mae Dixon Boyd about how long she has lived in the Ridgecrest area. So you might want to create a chapter that says, Boyd in Baskin Ridgecrest area. And then you're going to add some more information about what that means. And you're going to add keywords that also will help researchers, kind of find what they're looking for within the text. And you'll always want to separate those by commas. And if you see that it didn't add the time, which it should have because I clicked on it, you can always just go in here and say, okay, this starts at 4 seconds. She's talking about, for instance, when she arrived in Ridgecrest, Baskin Ridgecrest area. And then you get, so that's up until about 51 seconds they're talking about that. And then the interviewer Campbell asks, why did your parents come to this area? So you can click the timestamp and then create a chapter. Okay, and now you see it has at 51 seconds, Boyd, why Boyd family came to Baskin Ridgecrest. You're going to add the description, and again, descriptive words that help talk about what this section is about. And now you have that second chapter in your index. If you're really kind of flying through the transcription, because most notably what you'll probably be doing is working right in the transcript, all the way up until the end, right when you get everything kind of cleaned up and finished. You'll probably be kind of cruising through, once you get more used to using the platform, it'll become easier and easier. So if you don't want to take the time to stop and create chapters, but you think a particular section might be important, you can always do a bookmark. So you can, again, you can click on that timestamp and then add bookmark. And at 1 minute and 48 seconds, you're gonna put Dixon in a UMUC Europe. And hopefully that will trigger your memory to come back, you know, and determine why you had that there. And if you don't like it, you can, if it doesn't seem like it merits a chapter, then you can just delete it. But if it feels like once you're done and you go back and really you want to categorize a large portion of the text there, you can go into edit and that will instantly make it a chapter at 1 minute 48 seconds about this. Then you can add your description and your keywords and then save it. And then it will update to become a chapter in your index. And when I send out their story directions, you'll see that there's a link in there to YouTube that gives you an opportunity to look at a video that talks a little bit more about the indexing workflow. So I encourage you all to go in and just take a look at that video and get a little bit more information about indexing. You'll also get from me via email a style sheet that just talks about how you really should be recording the text. So hopefully that will be helpful in just kind of standardizing the style by which each of our transcripts follows. And that includes rules that dictate how the transcriber records the oral history. So for example, the standard of using commas, writing out numbers, what to be capitalized, and other grammatical rules. So I do encourage you to go into that style sheet and just keep it close to you and handy while you're going through and cleaning up these transcriptions, so that you are able to just look at them and know pretty quickly how we'd like you to set up the text. And everything else is pretty easy as well. Up in this panel right here, you can actually see where the audio file is located. So what you're going to have is your play button. And while you're going through this, and again, once you get a little bit more versed in it, you can see that there's a shortcut as well. So you can use the escape button to toggle between play and pause. So while you're listening, if you want to play something, you just start playing it. It's going to highlight which portion is really you're talking. And then I just hit escape again to pause it. So, you know, if I needed to put a period there, now I can just go ahead and play it again. And I just keep going through, listening to what they're saying and cleaning up that text. Can always also use this button to skip back 5 seconds, this button to skip forward 5 seconds. So again, if you didn't hear clearly what they said, you can always just skip back and then it will take you back, and you can see here, it's taking you back to the portion of the text that's highlighted. And one of the most important things to remember is, well, really quickly, one of the best bookmarks that you'll have too is the escape button, like I said, to toggle between play and pause. And then Control J will create a bookmark for you. So if you're down here and you want to create a bookmark really quick and just keep going through the transcription, you just click it and then hit Control J, and then you have your bookmark here. And the last thing to be aware of is this red floppy disk right here, this icon. Whenever you're making changes in either the transcription or in the index, if the floppy disk is red, that means you have unsaved changes. So you'll just want to remember to always click the floppy disk. You don't have any changes that need to be saved. when the floppy disk is black. But once you start making changes, it will turn red. It will also remind you up in this portion to save. So always make sure you're saving. You would hate to go through all of it and lose any information that you had already captured. So saving is important. And that's pretty much it. I'm so thankful that you all are willing to help with this. And of course, if you have any questions, you can certainly get a hold of me. Want to just talk about how important this is. We have a lot of different oral history transcriptions like this, and actually creating the transcription in a clean version, as well as providing an index, will make it that much more available to use to look at the past here in Pinellas County. So again, thank you so much.